It's 3:30 in the morning here in Chicago, and we're on our way to see how some of the biggest brand-name companies in the country are getting workers at a discount. We arrive at a nondescript strip mall where a temp agency called Elite Staffing has set up shop. It's not even 4 a.m. yet, but the office is already packed with people hoping to get a job. The chosen workers will be sent to factories and warehouses for minimum wage.
They will start calling out names like you'd see on the waterfront.
Hey man, one of y'all named Mo?
Where they're picking workers, you can go.
Michael Grable works for ProPublica and has been reporting on the rise of temp labor nationwide. He says temp workers do everything from making beanie babies for Thai Incorporated to the frozen pizzas that end up at Walmart.
They were essentially hiring people as if they were day laborers. You would have workers literally lining up on street corners or in alleyways or sitting in a labor hall for 2 hours for a regular job where they would be assembling and packing products for some of the largest companies in America.
In the last few years, the number of temp workers has climbed dramatically, mostly in blue-collar jobs. There are now 2.7 million temp workers nationwide, more than ever before.
Some businesses have realized, hey, this is a good model.
It's a business model that benefits companies in a lot of ways. They don't have to pay workers' compensation, health care benefits, unemployment taxes. That's the temp agency's responsibility. And if a worker gets sick, the temp agency could just send in a replacement. But Grable says because temp workers are so dispensable, this has led to many abuses, unpaid hours, poor working conditions, and injuries on the job.
And it's not a fly-by-night company that's taking advantage of the workers. It's in the supply chain of Marlboro or Frito-Lay or Walmart.
Isaura Martinez has been a temp worker for the last 3 years. To get jobs, she's constantly on the phone with different temp agencies.
Nunca es seguro, diario el trabajo. Diario tengo que estar llamando.
It's Thursday, and Isaura hasn't been able to get a job for the last 3 days.
Se deprime uno. Se deprime uno y se preocupa uno porque si no hay trabajo, no comes.
It was at her first job making boxes for a wine factory, where she says she injured her arm.
Pues de diario, constantemente, llegó un momento que el músculo de aquí me lastimé.
Isaura says her arm began to swell up and was very painful, so she asked her boss to do a different job. Instead, she says, she was let go.
Lógico que cuando ya está lastimado algo de tu cuerpo, ya no vas a trabajar igual. Pero entonces él supuestamente dijo que yo ya no daba el mismo rendimiento y me despidieron del trabajo.
So when she hurt her hand at a different factory, she decided not to complain too much about it.
Y yo la verdad me quedé callada a no ir a la oficina porque yo ya venía de otro trabajo donde estaba trabajando en la de vinos.
Isaura did not file an injury report at the wine factory, which we found out later is owned by the vodka company Smirnoff. But according to Michael Grable, workers are also discouraged from filing workers' comp claims.
And a great way that temp agencies did this was by not telling workers where they were going. You go out to some of these warehouses and there's no name on them. It's anonymous. So if something were to happen where they got injured, they wouldn't know where to file a workers' comp claim because they don't know where they worked.
Isaura wears this bandage on her arm to keep it from swelling and tapes up her finger so she can work.
You hear a lot of people who don't report injuries, who take care of it themselves because they're afraid they're going to lose their ability to work at all.
Although it's difficult to prove retaliation, Grable says the workers who were more vocal about problems were often not chosen for work. This is one of the biggest obstacles facing the Chicago Workers Collaborative. They're a nonprofit workers advocacy group. Back at the temp agency, their organizers are trying to recruit temp workers to fight for better working conditions.
They are afraid because if they complain about it, they just get fired.
Claudia Galena used to be a temp worker, but is now one of the collaborative's main organizers.
We find that people are not getting paid, we find that people are getting injured, but they don't want to talk about it because they say that it's better to have very little than nothing.
The organizers are also here to deliver a message to elite staffing, which is one of the largest temp agencies in the country. Leona Bicchieri is the Collaborative's executive director.
We delivered a letter simply asking to sign a pledge of non-retaliation against workers who complain about not getting paid all their hours, about accidents, and ask them to look at setting up a procedure so that workers can simply talk about concerns they have and know that they won't be fired. We engage in a lot of legal action, sometimes very short Department of Labor wage claims, sometimes 4 or 5 year lawsuits that are class action. But at the most fundamental level, what we offer is that space for workers to come together and talk.
People who come, who join us, who talk about all the problems they have at work, they are really brave people. Because without this kind of people, we won't have changes.
There's a factory that many of our members call Las Palomitas, which just means the popcorn factory.
They are working with very hot oil because the oil is so hot, so people get burned very easily.
We had so many complaints from so many members about health and safety, not being paid their hours, going one day, then not going the next, if they raise a complaint, being fired, and so on and so forth.
So the organizers decided to hand out leaflets to all the workers at the popcorn factory, explaining their basic rights.
We're also promoting what we think is a moral covenant, above and beyond minimum wage, above and beyond just you can come to work and not be harassed, but things like some sort of respect for seniority, some sort of respect for the years that these workers have worked.
It's almost 3 p.m., shift change at the popcorn factory. In the parking lot, the organizers are ready and waiting. Soon, workers start flooding the parking lot.
Simplemente estamos dando la información a la gente que tiene derechos cuando trabaja en oficinas temporales.
After just a few minutes of leafletting, a man who identifies himself as the plant manager appears.
He says he's calling the police, so Brandon, we'll be back or we'll find them.
Es que es muy importante.
Es muy importante, hombre.
Es porque para la gente que no sabe que están robando.
Exactamente. He's saying, I don't understand why they're saying they're going to call the police on you because this is very important. It's very important that people understand their rights. A pretty innocent leaflet produced a lot of encouraging shouts from workers, and workers saying, this is great, thanks for coming, glad you're here, go get them, these guys are robbing hours. And one man said, I've worked 8 hours today and had 20 minutes to rest. I think we made the point. We got out a lot of the leaflets. Almost everyone got them. Go get her. Go get her. She ain't gonna leave, just get her. Not worth it.
I just wanted to give them the information. Even though they were asking me to leave, they were calling the police. I just kept giving flyers because I want people to know that they have to defend themselves. Nobody's coming to defend us. Nobody's coming to sacrifice for us. We have to do it. We have to do it by ourselves.